If you are using PtGui and trying to add Nadir to your panos that you already created, so they would look like this, this is a video you'd like to watch. This is a process that is not very difficult, but it's all not intuitive because PtGui does not allow you to do this in the single-step process. So you first have to create all your panos just like this, and then in the second step you have to add all the Nadirs to the bottom. What I'm going to do is first create a process how to add Nadir to your panos, and then I'm going to set up an action in Photoshop that's going to add it to all of my panos that I previously created. So let's start. I'm going to come here and I'm going to go and load the images. Okay, I'm going to open it here, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the advanced section. If you don't have advanced PtGui Pro, whatever it's called, you will not be able to do this. The next thing, I'm going to kind of go through all this stuff, identify that my image is 8,000 by 4,000. That's kind of important. You'll see it later. Why? The next thing, you're going to come here and you're going to select the type of image for spherical panoramas and change this thing to 360 view and to 180. This is important because when you come here to image parameters, it's going to show you here the same image you have here. And the next thing, you're going to change the pitch to 90. What this is going to do is it's going to create this single dot here, which is basically a tripod. It's going to roll it up, so to say. So if you go into the preview and you want to preview what it looks like, and it opens it up, so this is the area you need to cover with your Nadir. And this is probably the easiest way to do this because you don't really know what size of Nadir you have to create, what size of image, in order to cover only the area that you need to cover, so you don't cover more or less and you see a part of this tripod. So now you're going to create a pano, and you want to make sure that this size here is the same as the original image. This is why I told you to go and look at the image source, the size, and then you create a panorama. And now you can go and take a look what you've created. So here's the image. We're going to open this image in Photoshop, and I'm going to find my little smiley face that I've created and paste it right into my Photoshop file right here. Then I'm going to come here and select these edges because I don't need this. I want this to be clear. Deselect, and I'm going to size this image. I'm holding Option and I'm holding Shift, so it sizes it equally on both sides, kind of asymmetrically. And let's say this is the area I want to cover. This is my Nadir. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dump the background. Now I have the clear image in the center of all my panoramas. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save for web, and I'm going to save this as a PNG file, the same size as the original pano. Now when I go back into my PtGui, I can remove this image, original one, just dump it, and go and load the one that I just created. Okay, so now I have this panel. All the settings are the same. As you can see, I'm coming to image parameters here, and I'm going to pitch it back for -90. And when I do that, I get this kind of file that looks like just the Nadir at the bottom. And I'm going to go and create again a pano. And when this is done, I'm going to drag it into my Photoshop. And from here on, we work in Photoshop to create a batch process that's going to allow us to add Nadir to all these panos that we have created previously. We don't want to do this manually, so we're going to create an action in Photoshop to do it. The way to do it is first we're going to set up our pattern. We're going to double click on this background and select all the black areas in this image, and then hit delete, and we're going to then reselect the entire image. I'm hitting Command A, and we're going to edit define pattern. You can say OK, and you are pretty much done with this image. Then you're going to come here and open one of your panoramas, anyone, as long as it doesn't have a nadir. And when you open it, you want to create a layer out of it. But we also want to record an action. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here to start recording action. I'm going to put it in my 360 actions. I'm going to call it set nadir. Okay, and now I started recording. In the recording process, I'm going to double click on the background and turn it into a layer. Next thing, I'm going to double click on it again to open layer styles. I'm going to go to pattern overlay, select my pattern that I previously defined, and that's it. And the next thing I'm going to do is flatten this image and then hit save. So I'm going to hit Control S. When I hit Control S, it's going to give me a dialog box, and I'm going to say OK. I'm saving it here, even though I have an option to do it later on in a batch process, but I'm saving it here because in the batch it's going to ask you to OK it with every single image. I want to avoid it. I want to do that process here. So what you want to do is, before you start this process, you want to make sure that you create a duplicate of all your panos in case something goes wrong, that you still have the original images without the nadir, that you can repeat the whole process, because this thing is going to override the existing one that you had. So I'm just going to say OK here, and I'm going to close it because I don't want the image, all 100 images, to keep it opening and stay open. And now I can stop my recording here, and I have my entire process recorded. So the next thing is I want to go set up the batch action to convert all of these images, like I showed you, into the ones with the nadir. And to do that, I just go into the Photoshop automation and say batch process. In the batch process, I make sure that my action here is selected as set nadir process, and I want to choose source my folder of images, and I'm choosing my pano where I have all these images as a source, and as a destination I'm choosing none because everything is going to be completed in the process that I created in the action. All I have to do is set OK, and you can sit and watch, or you can walk away and come back after a few minutes when everything is completed to see how it's been done. And I'm going to show you now, and it's going to just take a few seconds to complete everything, and here it goes. You can see that all of these images now have nadir in the back. Okay, so this is the process. I hope it's helpful. Hope I didn't make it too complicated. And let me know in your comments how you liked it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.